I want to go quickly also to just address something that Honorable Adams, your bestie, raised.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's here, don't worry, I'm sure he's here somewhere. Raised.
Yes, sir.
About the crime intelligence property that the PKTT members stay in.
Yes.
Right. Since then, our National Commissioner has responded and said there's crime intelligence properties that have been purchased. It's all above board. But are PKTT members staying in some of these crime intelligence properties?
No, they're not.
They're not. Okay.
They're not. And I must also, again, I'm glad Honorable Adams is here. As I said, he also fall victim. He came here, Honorable Adams, and withdrew the statement that he had made against Khumalo when he said the riot in KZN happened as a result of Khumalo failure. He withdrew it. After withdrawing it, when he came here again on Tuesday, he withdrew that withdrawal. He said, no, it was Khumalo. I want to invite all the members to take the Human Rights Commission report.
That's my question.
I want to invite all of you to go and check at the PKTT deployment, the call-up instruction, the paperwork. Who was deployed? Where were they deployed? Where did they stay? So they can see where was Khumalo when the riot happened. That whole period, I said to you, Gerald Chika was the one that was my assistant, was heading intelligence. He retired last year. So he was in charge of intelligence, was a major general. Khumalo only arrived at crime intelligence in 2022. So again, information that was fair to the honorable member, which he came here and he presented his facts. Oyster Box, honorable member. It's a very luxurious hotel in Durban.
I go there.
Very luxury hotel in Durban. And very expensive.
It's only lunch, guys.
There's no way that the police officers can stay there. If you want to prove that, go to Oyster Box and ask them.
I don't sleep there.
Go to Oyster Box and ask them to give you a record. That's a simple thing. Alternatively, the CFO was before this committee. Ask the CFO in black and white to give you entire cost of the PKTT from the first day to the last day. Cost for laundry, cost for accommodation, cost for the SNTs, cost for overtime.
Okay.
It's in black and white. It's accounted for.
Yeah, we do have.
So to simple throw a Beverly Hill, not Beverly Hill, to throw Oyster Box as if, no, it's not wrong. But what I must qualify then on this one, honorable chair members, is that the CFO is going to cap the money and say you can only sleep at the 800 rand property. When the members are working, they are going to go negotiate sometimes with the service provider and say, you are costing 1,000 rand a night. We're going to pay 800, that's our limit. But we're going to stay here for a month. And with that deal, the owner of the property will say, no, I take that because it's a long stay, guaranteed income. It's fine, we can stay on this discount. So there are properties that members might be staying in. Maybe when you do a research on Google, you might find that the price is beyond 800. But go and check at the expenditure that the state paid for the property. It's as per the approval of the funds. So there's no difference. If Oyster Box had, which I know they didn't, if they had afforded members to stay there and gave them that discount to let them pay it 800 rand, there was not going to be anything wrong with it, because the money for accommodation would have been kept regardless of the place where you stay. So it is that which we must always be careful about, because members will feed us wrong information.
Just to come, you mentioned the Human Rights Commission report. So when you were here, you indicated that Becky Cele, the then minister, asked you not to contest the report because they had some adverse findings about you, the Human Rights Commission report.
Me?
You regret not doing it, yeah.
No.
July unrest.
No, the minister never asked me that. And we never discussed anything about contesting it. Not me, maybe the National Commission, not me. He has never spoken to me. They interviewed us and they produced the report. I was there, the human rights. And
did you have you? Okay, then maybe I must go back to your testimony the last time. From what I remembered, you spoke quite at length on the report, that there was a meeting, the national team that was set up in KZN, that you had suggested that there must be a shutdown of social media. They didn't do it. So you were quite unhappy about the Human Rights Commission report and some of the findings they made into you, and then you explained that your wife had just given birth and, you know, you had to deal with some of those issues. Okay, we'll park that for now because we'll just need to look into it, and maybe the evidence leaders can just do that. But I was under the impression that former Minister Tele had asked you to just let the report go because you were not happy.
Honorable members, can I beg with the chairperson to please allow you this minute that I'm going to take from you, because I feel this one must talk about when Honorable Adams is here. The issue of that unrest that involves my child. Honorable Chair, if you will add that minute to Honorable Member, because I'm taking this time from you.
Nice to be you, Lieutenant General, because you can even put a minute.
Honorable members,
we get shut down very quickly.
Honorable Adams is here and is listening to this. What pains me is to see a leader of society and coming here and talk bad about what happened in July. And I was there on the ground. I faced the fire. That X5 I talked about earlier that I bought in Pretoria. I drove that car alone in the car because I was isolating because General Mkhwanazi had died and people that were General Mkhwanazi were with us in the operation. So I had to isolate. In that isolation, I had to go and see the operations. I got into my own car. I drove through Phoenix with my handgun, hoping that someone would attack me and I was going to fight with that handgun. If I die, I die. Because I wanted to see these attacks and these murders that were happening in Phoenix with my own eyes, with no escort. I drove that night. That's a sacrifice that I made. The riot starts and the riot ends, Mr. Adams. The ministers, they come down to KZN after the riots. After the riots, they visit KZN. Why do they visit? It's because their boss, which is the President of the Republic, is coming to visit the following day to assess the damage. So when ministers arrive late at the airport and they drive and they see what is happening around and we brief them, the following day the President lands. I'm the one who's doing the briefing. The following day the President lands. That time we're busy with the mop-up operation. We are cleaning now. The dust is settled. We are cleaning. The President arrives. I'm the one that takes the President around all these sites in KZN. In Durban. Me, this one. The President is satisfied and he hears the plan of how we're going to deal with this and investigation and so forth. He gets on the aeroplane, he flies out. 2 days later, we are busy with cleanup investigation. There's no riot at all. I then get into the car. I drive with that X5 to Pretoria. And arrive in Pretoria. The following day, my wife gives birth, cesarean section. And she stays in a hospital, Mr. Adams, and she gets out the following day with the stitches in her stomach. I put her in that X5, Mr. Adams. I drive with her and that toddler, 1-year-old, for 1,000 kilometers. Mr. Adams. And I leave her with a family. I go to the aeroplane, I fly back to Durban. I'm not there with a child. I left them like, that's a sacrifice that I don't think anyone will ever make. That's what I contributed in this July unrest. To come here and make it look like I neglected the duty, I prioritized the child over the safety of the citizens. You were not there, sir. I was here. So it is that I want to address because it's a very sensitive thing to me, personally. So if I can do that and someone who's a leader of society doesn't appreciate, I take an offense on it. The facts are there. Timelines of the violence are there. We are not in a business of thumb-sucking dates. We must say the riots happened on this day, it ended on this day what happened, and that day what happened, and that day what happened. So when I go, it's because there's no more violence. So for him to say, I neglect the job, it's the same with the former Speaker of this Parliament, who herself said that. She was sitting, Mr. Adams, she's the one who was sitting at Oyster Box, claiming to be running operation with operation, a mop-up operation, sitting at Oyster Box. That's the Minister of Defense who was sitting there. So when I present these things, it sounded as if I'm arrogant before the Human Rights Commission, but I was giving the facts. I was telling the minister that the soldiers don't have equipment to do the work. You're calling them to come to Cape Town. I don't know what they're using to work in Cape Town, because they don't have tents to sleep on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lieutenant General. I think you and Honorable Adams must have a moment.
Now at the room, one of us will come out.
No.
Give us a room. One of us will come.
Lieutenant General, you can't say that. That's like a threat.
Say again?
Point of order.
Can't do that.
General Mkhwanazi is threatening a member of parliament. Please.
Yes.
No, I wanted to tell the honorable member that her time has ended.
But the general did not tell who is going to come out. He said, one of us is going to come out. He did not tell which one.
Honorable Chair, I begged for a minute for the old member because I took that time to air my unhappiness about Mr. Adams. Can you please?
No, she knows I'm forever benevolent. When we started, we agreed that today members will, upon the expiry of their time, they will not speak for more than 15 minutes.
Okay, now I don't.
So she can still engage with you until 20 past.
Whatever it is. So you know that both Honorable Collard Barnard and Honorable Adams have been witnesses here. When you gave testimony here before, you were very firm that if you continued being pushed, that you can come with more receipts. Do you still hold that view about our members of parliament being involved?
Yes, I can, Honorable Member. That's why I said before, that when I spoke today, that our political leaders become victims themselves because of intelligence. So as much as the members might think good, I spoke about Mr. Adams was here. He might think he's doing what is good for what he's doing, not knowing that he's actually been used to do wrong. So the evidence then is left behind that, okay, this one did this one did that. That's why I cited some examples about Mr. Adams, how he ended up at the prison in Devon, police officers that were part of it, the blue light motorcades, and so it's evidence that we did not present before the ad hoc committee, which we can present if we are pushed to do that.
So do you maintain that both the members of parliament that we had as witnesses, they were just being used unknowingly and they were not deliberately part of any sinister activities?
I like to, all the ones that we mentioned, Mr. Adams, Ms. Collard Barnard, and everyone else, they receive information from intelligence that tells them about things. And then they take a responsibility of acting on it without realizing what is the ultimate motive. That's why I said earlier, a member is released by court with a bail condition that says go back to work. But the members of crime intelligence calls the honorable member and say, these members are not supposed to be here. What happens after that? The honorable member writes, she takes a pause of saying that National Commission, that means is violating the law. When the response comes, she only learned later, that time, that, oh, these members were wrong. But it's after the fact. At that time, when she made that noise, guess what happened? The National Commission removed the general from crime intelligence at that time because of that noise. He removed that person and said, okay, go and sit somewhere else until the dust settles before we bring it back. Well, some of the things that the members are going to talk about are legit. They are wrong things we're doing. But let me give a classic example against about the same general we're talking about. He was arrested twice for different cases. The latter one was with the crime intelligence team about the appointment. But the first one, he was alone on some questionable behavior that he had. But when the members are making noise about that, I cannot say they are wrong because must be answers. I also had question marks about it. I said, how do you interact like this that leads into such thing? But such must be separated. You understand? You mustn't say because this one is wrong here, it means it's wrong everywhere. So it is that which members get caught. They get caught into such things. Surely, Mr. Adams, I don't think he even knew where the offices of the Inspector General of Intelligence is situated.
So,
I don't think he knows where Orlando is. If it was not the members that drove him to get there.
but you maintain that they're not intentionally involved. They
I
have
agree.
just been used. So what I'm trying to say is that they get information and they act on it. So it's not that they're involved in setting up.
No, not in the planning.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
they become
That's what I
enablers.
want to know. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same approach as said about the minister.
All
They
right.
become enablers of the people who are doing wrong
That's
by
what-
using
okay.
them.
Okay. So they're not involved in the planning of whatever is going on.
I
behind
don't
the scenes.
believe, we don't have evidence
don't
to
think-
prove that
okay.
they're part of the planning
All
to
right.
some degree.
So that clarifies a lot. Honorable Adams, from what you know, is he under surveillance?
I'm not at crime intelligence, so I'd rather not talk about.
But you know things.
Yes, I do, but I can't talk
no,
about the
you can't
operations
tell
of
us. Okay.
intelligence.
And then you said he got blue lights. Who from who?
I think there was an abuse of resources at the time by the member, which was facilitated by a police officer for that matter, for him to land in Durban,
Who was the police officer? Do you
a
know?
cousin of Robert McBride, who is a police officer in KZN, who arranged with Mr. McBride to be picked up by Metro Police from the airport and driven on blue light
Metro Police.
into the prison. And he arrives there, he signed as a member of parliament. The prison believes that he's on an official duties and he leaves with blue lights back again to the airport.
So how can we get confirmation about this besides you telling us this?
I have
Can
it
we
in
write
black and
to
white.
Metro-
I have
beg your pardon?
statements, I have entry into the prison, I have statements of the members that drove him.
Okay, we know that he went there because that's not disputed. I'm talking about the blue lights.
There's statements on that already.
Sworn
There's a
statement.
criminal case open against Mr. Adams. Because honorable chair members, and again, what became known, what made Merity House and many people start making noise, including Honorable Adams, about PKTT and the case of Sindiso Magado. The obsession with General Kumalo and wanting to manipulate that everything is about General Kumalo, that blinded them. Kumalo arrested the criminals that killed Magado, that planned and organized and killed Magado. He arrested them. Kumalo discovered that the resources that were used came from crime intelligence. A parallel investigation is running for that purpose. But Kumalo is blamed for the death of Magado. So because there are members that trying to drive a different narrative. So, and then the member of parliament, Mr. Adams, doesn't pause to analyze this. Had he done that, he was going to get the facts and be able to realize that I'm now interfering with the police operation by going to this criminal that is convicted and getting some statements and trying to paint a different picture. So these are just but one example of many of those instances.
So just on the blue lights again, you said that you've got a sworn statement.
That's correct.
So is there anything else? Because Lieutenant General, the number of sworn statements we have here with one person saying the sky was blue on Sunday and another one saying it was orange on Sunday at 12 o'clock, it's going to blow our heads off when we go into deliberations. So is there anything else that we can access or you have access to?
Well, these statements I'm talking about are part of the criminal investigation. So I won't be able to bring it here. They're in a docket, but I was briefed about it.
No problem. The apartment you went to at the Pearls, whose apartment is it?
Well, I think the person that assessed me to go, I won't give his name, but he was renting that apartment himself.
So why didn't you meet at the Oyster Box? Because they have meeting rooms there. Why did you decide to go to the
The
Pearls?
plan was to control the space where we're going to meet this guy so that you can be able to dominate what's happening there. You can't go to Oyster Box and sweep.
You mean you?
I beg your pardon?
Who's we? You mean you?
Me and General Kumalo.
Oh, okay.
So we plan it together to say, find a space, a place that no one else can come in so that you can be able to do what we
Were
can
you a
do.
bit nervous or unsure about what would happen?
We already knew who's Kat. So I'm meeting Kat already knowing who is this person you are meeting. So you
So
can
you're
then
prepared.
therefore not risk not to keep records of this meeting because it must build an investigation.
And did you actually record the meeting or you just said it was just sort of a... Because you haven't given us the recording.
Yeah, well, I have not given you a recording, and I'm glad that the meeting, I've explained and I've disclosed the meeting or what was the content of the meeting, and I did not want to take whatever that we did there with intelligence and give it to Parliament. But for me, I was saying to him, I said to him that we dominated the space, so whatever activities that took place in that place, it's not claiming to be drinking. Once a criminal investigation unfolds, there will be evidence on it.
So besides what you told us today about what happened in the meeting and what you had written in the SMS or the message that you sent, there was other stuff that happened that you can't tell us.
No, there's no other stuff. We came in there, we said when we spoke. It was only about...
And you spoke about what it is you reported to us today. There wasn't anything else.
Everything that we spoke about is what I wrote in that message.
So why wouldn't you give us the recording as well?
No, well, remember, I said some of the things when we do from the intelligence point of view might not necessarily be admissible in any investigation. So the how part and all that is with Gerald Kumalo. So I don't want to, because it is them that had to prepare the room, intelligence to prepare that room for us to meet.
Okay. Why did you believe that Mr. Mkhwanazi needed to be protected? That because you didn't tell us initially about the meeting, why did you think he needed to be protected?
Oh, no, he is the one who said to me, the names that he's giving me are people that are dangerous, and he wouldn't want those names to be known. And he wouldn't want them to know that he's the one that told me about them, because he gave me their properties where they're located. Now I know Steve Motsume stays in Waterfall Estate. Now I know Steve Motsume on the property there down Sentin side. I know Sbia's properties. So the fact that he was disclosing such personal information about the people that, according to him, are heavily involved in the wrong, that they might harm him. That's why I wouldn't have. The only person that I could tell out of that was a team that is investigation. That's why I sent Kumalo, this is information, take it further, which they did. So the only time I'm mentioning this, in actual fact, I remember, I did not even say it in this committee, nor at Matlang. The names of the people and the things that we spoke about, I wrote that to Sinon, and I copied that to the Senior Council. It ended there. But Sinona took it to the Madlanga Commission and was forced to go and pronounce on that.
Why were you confident that he was not managing you? So what if him and Lieutenant General Sabia had plotted? So go and approach Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and then you must give him information, because what we need from him, the most important, or their objective, was that they needed you to intervene on a payment of a tender. So why were you confident that it wasn't them just managing you?
No, the intention of him coming to me was tender. He was made clear before he even arrives that he's frustrated with his tender. So I knew that up front. But our worry was knowing the person that he is. We cannot risk it. Tomorrow I'm going to meet him. He's going to take pictures of that, or someone else in the corner somewhere take pictures of our meeting. And that pictures is used for wrong things. So let's control and dominate the place where we're meeting.
But you're not answering the question, Lieutenant General. Why were you confident that he was not managing you when he was giving you that information, and that him and Lieutenant Sabia were not in cahoots on how they should engage you?
But what I'm saying, I remember, is that right at the onset, the intention of coming to me was because of his frustration with his contract. That one I knew right at the onset. But to make me help him to meet up with Jaron Howard, he's going to give me information. It's the information that I did not trust.
Okay.
It's an information that he was going to give that we were not 100% sure whether he's going to be telling us the honest truth, or he wanted to capture us or me into his web. That's why we said we identify the venue, we dominate the venue, you must come to our place that we are controlling.
Did you threaten Major General Sanoa that you were going to inform Steve, what is it?
Steve
Motsume, yeah.
I wrote that in a WhatsApp message.
It was only in the message. There was nothing else.
I never spoke to him
that.
after that. I was actually making him aware that his friend that he brought to me is the one who spoke about the meeting. Now that he had introduced the meeting, the content of the meeting is going to become known.
Yeah.
And when it's becoming known, he must not blame me for making it known, because he's the one who introduced the meeting. I did not introduce the meeting.
And what did you know, Steve, or what did you know about Steve at the time when you sent the message to Major General Sino?
Well, at the time, I did not know who Steve Mkhwanazi. When he mentioned the name, I just took note of it. I knew Sbia. I didn't know about Steve Mkhwanazi. So when I left that meeting, when I contacted Khumalo, then I discovered that, yes, indeed, he's in the radar. And what I've heard ever since about Steve Mkhwanazi coming out all over, and the silence of the media out there about him, made me believe that perhaps we're on the right path.